It almost sounds like the beginning of a joke, doesn't it? A sailboat and a powerboat walk into a
Yeah.
bar,
Yep.
you know, that kind of thing.
My mind is made up. Hey guys, this is Erik Kyle, publisher of Latitudes and Attitudes magazine.
And I'm David Levesque, editor of Latitudes and Attitudes, and welcome to Three Sheets, our podcast where we chill and chat with individuals making a difference in the cruising lifestyle.
Each episode, we'll dive into all things cruising related and bring you some of the most influential characters out there. So sit back, grab your favorite bottle, light them if you got them, and enjoy the adventure. Hey guys, Erik Kyle here, publisher Latitudes and Attitudes magazine. I am very excited today to be on Three Sheets podcast with David Levesque.
How's it going?
We've got some special guests today, Evan and Carly Nietzels. And I think I'm pronouncing that correct. Nietzels?
That's right.
That's right.
Outstanding. Navigating Nietzels. What a fantastic channel. You guys have been out there cruising for the last couple of years, and it looks like you just graduated high school. So how'd that happen?
Yeah, not too far off, I guess.
Yeah. We just had dreams that we didn't want to wait for. So yeah, we are a little bit on the younger side.
I'm looking older now just because my beard's grown out. But
Yeah.
yeah, we got into boating fairly young, mostly on just the fishing boat, 18-foot aluminum boats, Lund boats that you'd see up in Minnesota, Wisconsin. Outboard motors, doing a lot of water skiing, sandbar hopping, pull up to the restaurant, like casual weekends. And as well as Carly, we always loved being on the water. I think, in the beginning there was writing on the wall. All of our like first dates, paddleboarding, canoeing, we always were on the water.
Yeah.
Looking back, we realized that, but at the time we didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, that's kind of what started the passion.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with where you're from.
Yeah, we are both from Iowa, Eastern Iowa. So we grew up on the Mississippi River, actually. I mean, as close to the Mississippi as you can get. And so that's where we met. We both were high school sweethearts, went to separate colleges, but then we moved to Florida for Evan's job. And we say that was kind of our golden ticket. That's what, pushed us to kind of make our cruising dreams more of a reality instead of waiting. We were surrounded by all these big boats and trawlers, sailboats, and we were like, why do we have to wait? Let's make this happen now.
Yeah.
Were you guys able to...
Iowa to Florida is a really big transition, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, that was a long transition.
And
we drove that. We've made that drive several times now. It's what, 24 hours,
yeah,
22 hours.
And it's a big cultural transition as well. It's very different, Midwest versus Southwest or Southeast Florida. So
yeah.
What's the biggest difference?
Well, I can tell you, so I work in the heating and air conditioning industry, in the HVAC as a mechanical engineer. And so it's always hot and humid. The weather is certainly a change versus Iowa. You have all the seasons. It gets hot and humid in the summer, July and August, but weather was the biggest one. And driving. Holy cow. The drivers are so much different in South Florida. If you don't get on the gas when the light turns green, they are honking at you like it's a racetrack, and you better take off and give it your best 0 to 60.
Yeah, it's a cultural difference.
Yeah.
But we enjoyed it. It's fast paced, but it also was way more activities on the water than we were even used to growing up on the river.
Going from Iowa to Florida, did you pass a Buc-ee's?
Yes.
Yes, a couple Buc-ee's.
I'm a diehard Buc-ee's fan. Every time I go there, I stand there for like an hour and a half staring at the wall of beef jerky and just trying to pick out my next selection. So I digress. Go ahead.
I've done that too. So yeah, don't feel bad.
When we made the drive down, when we made our first move, the first time driving was our first time going to a Buc-ee's. And I actually have a photo that I'll share with you guys. Our first time Buc-ee's.
Epic. Absolutely epic. So again, been down in Fort Lauderdale and lived down there for a little while myself. Were you guys in the Broward area? Were you Palm Beach, Miami? Where were you?
Yeah, we were in Palm Beach County. We have a townhouse in West Palm Beach, Florida still, that's rented out. So yeah, we covered mostly kind of hung out in Palm Beach. We would go up to Martin County as well, Stewart, Pretty much played between Vero Beach and Fort Lauderdale. Occasionally we go down to Miami, but that was even more crazy for us.
There are huge cultural differences between Martin, Palm Beach, Broward, and Dade County,
Yes.
and even Monroe County for that matter. So wherever you're at in Southeast Florida, there's a people difference, but I digress. So I'm curious, Evan, you're working in HVAC. Carly, I'm not sure what you're doing for work at this point, but you guys are down in Florida. You're sweating in the summer. You decide these boats are beautiful. I want to get on one. I want to go do the Great Loop. How do you work from home when you're working in HVAC, Evan?
Great question. The whole story is pretty cool. Carly touched on it briefly, but our golden ticket, we feel pretty blessed that we were in Florida and we could boat shop on the weekends, even after work on the weeknights. Facebook Marketplace, and the selection's crazy. So she came to me and was like, we should try to do this before starting a family. And I said, all right, we can certainly go boat shopping. It sounds like a blast to me. But we needed to jump through 3 hoops. The biggest one being we got to make money along the way. Fortunately, we're not trust fund kids. So we need to figure out how to fund it. I needed to work remote, being able to be on the boat. And then the last one was renting out the house we own and selling some cars. So those are like the 3 big ones. Selling and renting the home, Carly handled pretty quickly. But then I just made kind of this transition and started asking to work remote. And
you're not a technician, so
yeah, good clarification there.
Yeah.
So I went to school for mechanical engineering, but kind of more on the technical sales side. So I would talk to principals or museum curators, building engineers, people that are running the facilities, and help them come up with a solution. So yeah, thank goodness for Starlink and satellite internet. That's brought it a long ways. We feel like that was the big opportunity there.
Yeah. And so he's transitioned basically from that account manager, sales engineer role to more of a project engineer role, where he was kind of overseeing the projects, which is what allowed us him to work remote.
So it made it possible for you guys to cast off the lines on your first boat.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Carly, are you working on board as well or no?
Yes. Yeah. I'm self-employed. So I have a couple clients that I do freelance contract marketing work for. And then we also have our YouTube channel that generates a little income. So that's what I do. I was able to work remote before Evan was. So once we got him figured out, we were ready to go.
So you guys figure out you want to do the Great Loop. Where'd you find the boat? What kind of boat did you buy? Let's get that out of the way too.
Yeah. So like Evan said, I was kind of the instigator. I was like, I think we should do this now. So I was all over the boat shopping online. And so we found this boat on Facebook Marketplace at first. It was a 1986 Marine Trader Europa, 36 foot. So Marine Traders are really popular for the Great Loop. They were also, 80s, 90s boats, Taiwanese built, and just really, really great boats for the loop in our budget. And we bought it in Stuart, Florida. So it was right nearby where we were already living, and it was a pretty seamless purchase, I guess. We've actually recently sold it because we're on the search for a new boat now. But
yeah, I think the Great Loop kind of helped us in our boat buying, like for any listeners who are in that phase or chapter of life, being that we wanted to do the Great Loop, it kind of put us in a bucket of the draft had to be, a certain 3.5 feet, 4 feet max to be comfortable. Your beam restrictions, your waterline height restriction. So we kind of got put in this bucket, and I knew I wanted a single engine boat, diesel, real slow, fuel economy was good. So like we automatically zeroed into this segment versus if you say, let's just go buy a boat, do you get a planing hull? Do you get a full displacement? Do you go sail? Do you go power? Do you go motor sailor? Like those are really big questions to answer, where because we chose the journey, it helped us pick the boat. So that's kind of been our advice for folks that we've learned is once you get your mission nailed down, then start boat shopping. But yeah, anyways, that's a different conversation to
Well,
have.
the mission, Evan, I'm interested in this because there's got to be a lot of planning. Not just what kind of boat you're going to buy in order to fit all the right specs to do the trip, because you have to know what bridges are, when the locks are open, when you can be where and what, and all that kind of stuff. But there are a lot of legs that you're going through on a trip like this. So, how long did it take you guys to do the Great Loop? And additionally, what was the planning that went involved before you even bought the boat?
Yeah. It took us 13 months to complete the loop. We figured it would take about 12 to 15 months to do it. And so we did it in about a year. In terms of the planning, a lot of what it was beforehand was making sure the boat was just comfortable for us. One of the big things was upgrading our electric system. We knew we wanted to anchor a lot, not only because we enjoyed doing that, but because it saves a lot of money as well. So we upgraded our electrical system with solar panels and an inverter, and we were really self-sufficient on the energy side. We did not have a water maker, but along the Great Loop, that's not so much a concern because you can always refill your water tanks at all of the marinas along the way. You're always kind of near land. But otherwise, you couldn't really plan the legs of your trip too much because it all just depends on the weather day to day, if the locks are open or if they're closed. So the only thing that we could really follow in terms of a schedule was the Great Loop. You have to follow the seasons. So you spring up the East Coast, you summer across the Great Lakes, fall down the Midwest rivers, and then winter in Florida. So, yeah, besides a couple upgrades to the boat, getting the remote jobs lined up, and selling a couple things, there wasn't too much planning that went into it.
Got to be careful with planning. We found out that was one of our lessons on the loop because I don't know, the Navy SEALs or somebody have the 5 Ps. What is it, like piss poor planning equals poor performance or something like that? Which is funny because in the boating world, you can only tell somebody a time or a place, not both. So it was really hard for family and friends, like, hey, you need to be at this marina on this date. And we're like, we can be at that marina, but I don't know the date. So yeah, we definitely, you go with the flow a lot more on the boat, strictly because Mother Nature wins and there's always something to do on the boat maintenance wise. But yeah, the planning it's a delicate subject because you can over plan and then you get this like planning paralysis, we call it, or whatever.
Yeah.
Where you kind of just
analysis paralysis.
Yes.
Analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yep.
I got to ask this question because, I mean, we have this article in the July-August issue of Latitudes and Attitudes magazine, and it's called Miles, Memories, and One Shared Wake. So I know that, I mean, just in the first paragraph, it explains, I mean, you basically, you went north, you crossed from Florida into Georgia, and then you're in St. Mary's, right? And is this where you met Josh and Haley?
Yes. No, it's not where we met them, but this is one of my favorite stories of our entire loop is that we buddy boated probably 90% of our Great Loop with Josh and Haley on SV Slacker. And so the article in Latitudes and Attitudes is really cool because it highlights how a powerboater and a sailboater can be friends and enjoy the journey together. But we actually met them in Stuart, Florida before we had even left on the loop. We met them in the marina we were in, and we had known each other from social media, but we'd never met in person. And so we said, we're leaving for the Great Loop in a couple of months if you guys want to join us. And they said yes. And the rest was history. We became instant friends. I mean, now after over a year boating together, we're friends for life. We went through so many things, both good, bad, fun, not fun, that has really, united us, and we have a lot of trust in each other. So that's just a very special part of our loop, was doing it with them.
It almost sounds like the beginning of a joke, doesn't it? A sailboat and a powerboat walk into a bar.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But I mean, they are two different mindsets in terms of what the cruising lifestyle is kind of like for you, right? I mean, sailboaters talk about, especially monohull sailors, talk about life at 45 degrees or something like that, right? Or, you know what I mean? And it's powerboats have a little different mindset on it. And,
Yes.
obviously the cost structure can definitely be a little bit different in terms of, how you're doing it. When you guys were going up did you stay in the intercoastal or did you go offshore at all?
Good question. Yeah, we stayed in the intercoastal for most of it, but we did pop out occasionally on good weather days. The biggest one being New Jersey. The whole state of New Jersey, we went around the outside. I think if we did it again, the East Coast, I would probably take some overnights and cut the corner a little bit more. Georgia is absolutely beautiful with the marshlands. Some of the coolest drone shots we have are there. But yeah, you can kind of cut that corner from St. Augustine up to the Carolinas or something. I'd try that again.
I'm wondering the day-to-day process that you're going through. I mean, you're waking up in some beautiful river somewhere on the ICW in some kind of exotic location, and first thing that hits is, okay, what's the weather going to be like today? So you got to check your weather reports, make your plans on that. Am I going to be fixing something on the boat today that might have happened to broke? Who am I in communication with around me? Where am I at? What am I going to be doing? So what is a typical day-to-day process for you guys?
Yeah. It's funny because no day was ever the same, but our routines were very similar on a day-to-day basis. So it always started checking the weather, whether we were moving that day or not. We were always checking the weather to see what was happening that day, but also, what the weekly forecast was kind of looking like so we could continue to plan. And a lot of the time we were comparing notes with Josh and Haley along the way. Hey, we're thinking of maybe making this run on this day, or maybe we should stay put. What are you thinking? So it was always starting with the weather. For us and Josh and Haley, all four of us were working remote while we were doing it. So a lot of the time, what we would do is we'd get up at first light or even before the sunrise, and we'd cruise for a couple hours. We'd try and go 3 or 4 hours in the morning. Then sometimes we would drop the anchor and we'd work for a couple hours, in the middle of the day. And sometimes then we would pull the hook and keep moving in the evening to cover some ground. Other times we would work most of the day and then we'd cruise in the afternoon. And then a lot of our evenings looked like sitting on anchor, taking our dog to shore and exploring the towns that we were in. We ate out a lot, we drank out a lot, got a lot of beers, a lot of coffee. But that was kind of how we explored all the towns we were in, was by eating our way through them.
Yeah, I think you could describe these little cute towns by breweries, distilleries, coffee shops, and ice cream shops. Yeah. And then maybe a nice farmer's market, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So what kind of boat did Josh do Josh and Haley have? What are they sailing on?
Yep, they're in a 1986 Nautica, and it's a 33-foot monohull. So theirs is a motor sailboat, but funny enough, our engines were the exact same, just different horsepowers.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, back to the sailboat and the powerboat being friends. That was completely luck. A trawler with a 7-foot draft, offshore boat would be a very different, pretty polarizing. But luckily for them, we had a 3.5-foot draft. They had a 4-foot. We both had full keels. They had a 90 horsepower Ford Lehman. We had a 135 Lehman. So we did our oil changes together, some of the similar parts, and we were pretty blessed there because they joke that their boat doesn't sail well and it doesn't motor well, but it does them together great. So
that's fun.
Who was faster for you guys?
Who was faster?
Yeah, I mean, when you guys are both cruising in the same direction, did you be like, Josh Haley, take an hour head start and we'll catch you kind of thing?
I would say they were faster.
They're probably a little bit faster, just the way their boat cut through the water.
Yeah.
Where it really shined was in rough water. When you because they had, it's a catch rig, so they have 3 different sails they can use, and sometimes they'd play with the mizzen or the main, and it would really stabilize. And in bad weather, they'd just heel over and shoot forward, and we would just sit there and weeble wobble and well, we're gonna stay at 6 knots or whatever. We'll see you when you get there.
Yeah.
Life at 6 knots is not all that bad, by the way. That's why we do what we do. Go ahead, Erik.
Well, you guys had mentioned earlier something about every city can be defined by the breweries, distilleries, and all that kind of stuff, and the coffee shops. I'm curious in this 13-month adventure with visiting, it had to been 50 to 100 different little cities along the way. What was your favorite place? What did you guys on a consensus basis between you two be like, this is a place that we really, really, really like?
Yeah, we could probably both agree on the same one.
Mhm.
They're all very different, like the cultural from Iowa to Florida. An East Coast town versus the Great Lakes, the Keys, very different. But
Mhm.
we keep falling back to coming down Lake Michigan. We liked Saugatuck quite a bit.
Yeah.
Just the small towns on the east side of Lake Michigan were phenomenal.
Yeah.
We just maybe because we'd never been, or it was the people in summer, just they were epic. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was so cool.
Yeah, Michigan and Georgian Bay in Canada. Those were our two favorites. Georgian Bay was a lot more natural beauty, not so many places that we went to, but every small town along the Michigan coast was just awesome. We had fun.
Yeah. If I lived in Michigan, I told
So
Harley I would definitely have some sort of boat to zip. Every 20 miles there's a new inlet on Lake Michigan, so you could go Ludington to Saugatuck or
Yeah.
wherever you wanted to go. It'd be really fun.
Yeah.
I get the draw for sure.
Well, if you're looking for a boat in the Great Lakes, there's a magazine we know of called Great Lakes Scuttlebutt that is basically your dream boat marketplace. You can find pretty much anything you want, right? Oh, look, there it is. So
David
I want to talk about
plug
you.
things.
So you go up the East Coast. You chose to go where? Inside the St. Lawrence, right? You didn't go through the Erie Canal, right?
We did go through the Erie Canal,
Oh, you
actually.
did?
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
We actually went through the Trent Severn Waterway system, which is God's country up there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we chose the Erie Canal just more so. I mean, it is a shorter distance instead of going up the St. Lawrence, but it was the 200th anniversary of the canal when we did it
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
was pretty special to be a part of that.
Yeah, we got this special burgie, and like some of
Yeah.
the towns were celebrating, so it was pretty cool.
hmm
So I live in Buffalo, so you had to have gone past me at one point in time or another.
Probably right by
But
his house.
probably
Did you
I'm
wave?
pretty close. I'm actually pretty close to the Erie Canal. I'm disappointed you didn't stop and say hello, but that's okay. I
Yeah.
don't hold it against you. So you spill out. You're in Lake Erie at this point, but I saw in your article that you crossed Lake Ontario from New York into Canada.
Yeah, so we actually didn't do the entire Erie Canal. We did about two-thirds of it or a half of it, and then we
Okay.
pulled off and we went up the Oswego Canal, which
Okay.
that's up at Lake Ontario. So we actually didn't touch Lake Erie. That's one that we will need to cover.
Yeah, we got to get
Okay.
back.
I retract my previous statement about being offended that you didn't stop.
Yep.
So yeah, we took a right turn,
Yeah.
which was funny. That was our first right turn on the whole loop
Yeah.
to go north.
That's funny.
What did you think about that Peterborough lock?
Oh, we wish all of them were like that.
Yeah.
It's
They're so easy.
it is great. It's this whole engineering feat that it's fast, it's smooth, there's no turbulence.
hmm
You can bring people up and down at the same time. I wish more locks were that way.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think that whole Trent Severn Waterway system, it's crazy how you drive by all these houses on your boat and they don't have cars out back. They've got seaplanes out back.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
I love the Trent Severn. I mean, I didn't drive through any of the locks. Evan did all 44 locks, but it was so much fun. The towns were awesome. The people were so welcoming. It was all beautiful. I mean, it was a blast.
There were patios that were so close to the locks. Like the locals would go hang out, drink a beer, and just watch the tops of the boats disappear, and then new boats come up, and then they disappear. And like that was what they did on a Friday
Mhm.
afternoon. Just watch.
Well,
boats.
in the wintertime, they play a lot of hockey too. That's
Yeah.
The summer, you look at boats, and in the winter, you play hockey.
Yep.
That's right.
It's a Canadian thing.
Canadian,
No, I think
Canadians
it's
are known to play hockey.
absolutely beautiful over there. And I love how the British built the Trent Severn Waterway system to avoid those pesky Americans down in Lake Erie.
Yeah, right.
So where are Josh and Haley now? We probably should have invited them to come on this podcast too. That probably would have been somewhat cool. But
You can do another episode with them.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to do that, and then we can ask them what they really thought of you guys. And
exactly. Get the behind the scenes.
Yeah, something like that.
We crossed our wake in what was that?
March.
Mm-hmm. The other M. Yes, we crossed our wake and actually went back to do some work at the office in Florida for the company I was working for. They continued into the Bahamas for this Bahama season. So they explored the Exumas and Abacos, and then they came back and put their boat on the Hard in Georgia
for the summer. Yeah.
So they're safe for hurricane season. They're going to come back and do some repainting, some teak work, and then they're not sure where they'll go next. But
yeah.
So what's the next plan for you guys then?
We're boat shopping again. It's funny, when we started the loop, we knew we were going to have a great time, but we went into it kind of thinking, well, we'll love this and we'll kind of get it out of our system, and then we'll be ready to like settle down on land, or we'll love it and just be completely enamored with the lifestyle. And it was the latter. So we knew that whatever we wanted to do next, we would need a new boat for. Our boat was perfect for the loop. It's a great coastal cruiser, but it was time for something new. So we recently sold that boat and we're searching for another one. And we would love to find our next boat actually over in the Pacific Northwest. We would love to cruise out there, but we'll see.
You want to do the big U?
Yeah.
I think that'd be a pretty good next goal for us. Yeah, progression.
Mm-hmm.
The direction of the U, we're not sure yet. You're really supposed to go Alaska up to Maine just because of the currents off the coast of California.
Mm-hmm.
But you can go the other way. There's plenty of people that bring boats north,
right,
up the coast of California. So yeah, we're not really sure. We're going to let the next boat tell us that, where we start.
I kind of vote for that 40 Nordhaven. I thought that was a pretty good boat, guys. I mean, I don't know if it's still on your list or not, but why don't you just go buy a 55 Fleming? I mean, let's just get real. Let's just get right to the chase.
Those are beautiful. Those are gorgeous.
If we had enough sponsorships, that definitely could be in the books. Funny enough, when we were in Anacortes for the last Trawler Fest this year, we saw Mr. Fleming and his 85, I think it is, or 65 Fleming. He's got one of the bigger ones. He was there in the marina. He was on it, and I think that boat has like 60,000 nautical miles on it. I think he's done the Big U twice.
Yeah.
Insane. Yeah.
Beautiful boat.
I think Celine yachts have really good older models that are pretty appropriately priced. I mean, there's just so many different brand banks and just so many different options that are out there of good boats that are specifically made for exactly what you guys want to do. And the price points are not always $1 million plus. Right. I mean, under $500,000, hell, under 300,000, you can get into a boat and be able to accomplish the dream like you guys were talking about and not have to lose your shorts on the other end of the dream to sell the boat.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Exit strategy is definitely something we're learning on these big boats.
But that's a good point to bring up, though. Again, because of our age, people think to live this lifestyle, you need to be a millionaire, but you can really find, the right boat for you, for the right mission, and you can live this lifestyle on a lot of different budgets. So the right boat is out there for everyone.
Totally.
That is pretty much music to our ears. We live this. I mean, everything on the pages of Latitudes and Attitudes magazine is designed to promote the dream of cruising, whether it be doing a great loop or whether it be doing, ocean passages or, circumnavigations, whatever. We got a guy right now that we're following who just set off from Greenland to do the Arctic Circle. You know what I mean? And he's striving to be the first person to solo that. So hopefully we'll be talking about him for a long time. But a lot of people think, and I mean, Erik's been in this industry for much longer than I have. I probably have, a little shy of 20 years. Erik, you probably have 30 plus at this point, maybe more than that. But we've been hearing it forever that people think that you need to have a lot of money to become a boater, and that's just not really the case. I mean, It can cost you a lot of money to be a boater. Obviously, you got to maintain it and take care of it like you would any other piece of property that you have, a house, a car, RV, whatever. But the enjoyment it provides is incredible. But to set off and be a cruiser, there's so many opportunities out there to become a cruiser, get into sailing, get into powerboating, whatever, with limited budget, limited means, and then like you guys did, figure it out along the way, figure out the budget, figure out what you need, figure out how to work from the boat. Starlink and all that definitely helps. But I mean, you guys made it happen, and I salute you for it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. We think the boating industry is pretty special, and no matter one thing we know for sure is we'll stay in the boating world.
Yeah.
It's just the people that it's brought into our lives that everybody's in their happy place when they're on the boat. Nobody cares, what you did for a career. They're going to catch your line. They're going to invite you over for cocktails. Like it's a pretty special crowd. And that's from jet ski, pontoon, wake boat, all the way to,
Fleming's
or whatever you want to say.
That's the community. They don't give a crap who you voted for. They don't care who you pray to. They really don't care. They just love the fact that you're a boater and you're one of them, right?
Yeah.
What was the town we were in? And we wanted to anchor
in Canada.
No, it was in Michigan. We came in after a long day. We decided we wanted to anchor. The wind shifted, so the anchorage got pretty bad. And we're like, I wonder if we could just like go tie up there, walk into town.
What town were we in? I forget. But yeah, we did. We saw this dock. It looked maybe like it was an old marina, but it wasn't somebody's like private home dock. But yeah, the forecast had certainly shifted and we didn't really feel comfortable anchoring. So we went up to the dock, we went up to the building and we were like, hey, can we stay here for the night? He goes, yeah, for $20, I don't mind. And that's what we did for the night.
Yeah.
So it was, a lot of stories like that.
Well, I'm curious, what qualified you guys to do this? What made you guys say, you know what, I feel comfortable in taking on this challenge. I've done this, that, and the other. I'm licensed, I'm insured, I'm qualified, I'm good to go. Did you ever get to that point, or was it just let's roll those dice and see what we got?
That's a great question. Yeah, I guess back to your earlier question about planning, I will say we did go into it responsibly in the sense that we purchased the boat a year before we did leave. So we did have a year on our loop boat that we practiced on. We took it out on a lot of weekends. We got very comfortable with the systems. And so that was one thing that I would say qualified us. But other than that, the loop is actually a really great way to learn all of the things from a new marina or a new anchorage every night. You go through locks, you go through tidal waters, you go through fresh water, salt water, all different kinds of weather. You learn so much by doing it. So, we didn't have to have like our captain's license or anything to do that. Insurance wasn't hard for us to get, but yeah, I mean, we learned a lot along the way for sure.
Where did the relationship with Logan come into play?
Oh, good question. Yeah. So, we met Logan
because he's going to listen to this podcast, so you can say what you really think about him.
Yeah,
Logan's a great dude. We did go by his house actually.
We didn't know it at the time.
Yeah. We were on a Zoom with him months later, and his background was the ICW, and we were like, we anchored about 100 yards from where that view is.
Yeah,
had no idea who you were.
Yeah, but we met Logan because we were consistently tracking our trips in SeaPeople. So SeaPeople actually came out shortly before we started our loop. So it was like divine timing for us to utilize that. And we just love that app. We love connecting with people on it. We think it does a really great job of accurately tracking the trips. The logbook is just great to look back on. And so because we were consistently using it, Logan had reached out to us and asked us and a group of other people to be ambassadors for the app. And so that's kind of where our relationship started with him. And he's so cool. He's great.
Yeah, his story's awesome. From sailing in the Hudson and, buying like a Downey style boat. He had experience in the Bahamas, Abacos. So yeah, just another testament to cool people in the industry.
He's a decent guy. He smells an awful lot like beer, but he's a pretty decent guy. So,
Just so those who don't know Logan, he's one of the founders of the Young Cruisers Association, and they have since put out an incredible app called SeaPeople that is a cruiser's best companion.
Yeah, definitely. And that's funny. The Young Cruisers is a flag that we flew on our boat.
Mhm.
A lot of sailboats, fly it on their spreader, but we flew it on our trawler behind, and we got so many questions. It was a great conversation starter.
Yeah.
Everywhere we went, they're like, "What is that black birdie with a blue bird on it?"
Yeah.
So yeah, then we'd say, "Oh, that's the Young Cruisers," and they'd be like, "Geez, you're my kid's age. What are you doing?"
Okay,
we're gonna
guys.
have to send you a Latitudes and Attitudes Burgee.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to send you a
fly
Latitudes
it
and Attitudes
proudly.
Burgee.
So
I
you're
love
in the
it. I
latest
absolutely
issue
love
that's
it.
about to be released for July and August, and we're so happy to have you there in Latitudes and Attitudes. We greatly appreciate what you put out there. We wish you guys all the best in your next adventure, and I hope if you do that we might get a phone call to join a little leg of it here, there, wherever. Love to spend time out on the water.
We would love that.
Yeah, absolutely. We are
The more the merrier.
yeah. Thank you for having us, and we enjoyed it. We hope to stay in touch with you.
Well, just as a little side note here, some of our readers, listeners are going to want to know where to follow you, how to follow you on your next adventure. Can you tell us some of the channels that you're on right now so we can stay in touch?
For sure. Yeah, we are primarily on YouTube, Navigating Nietzels on there. We post weekly vlogs, our entire loop experiences on there. And currently we're posting a lot of boat shopping videos. And then we're on Instagram, Navigating Nietzels, Facebook, and we do a little bit on TikTok. And that's actually my name at Carly Nietzel there. So pretty much all the places.
Let me ask you a quick Q&A. What was the scariest moment on the loop?
That's a good question.
I mean, I would say it's funny because the scariest for me was when we were on the Neuse River. But in hindsight, we actually had worse days after that, but I had just learned how to handle it better and I had more trust in the boat at that point. But for me, it was on the Neuse River, which is in North Carolina, and the forecast was just not what it predicted that day. It was my first time really seeing what the boat could handle. And so, yeah, I had a lot of fear that day, but we've had worse days since that I didn't have nearly the same amount of fear in. But I have been told by many people since then that a lot of them have had rough days on the Neuse. So I'm not alone.
Yeah, it was probably pretty early on. Like there's you don't know what you don't know. And so when you start, we didn't look at weather or wind direction. We didn't know how to properly read fetch.
Mm-hmm.
We were like, oh, it's called the Neuse River. It's just a river. Like I ski on rivers.
Yeah.
And it's so wide. It was like unlimited fetch all the way out to the Outer Banks. And then, that's probably the same for me, the Neuse River. And that's where you're like, crap, we're in it. And the only way through it is to keep going. Things are falling over, the coffee pot shatters, and you're trying to just shove stuff in the sink as fast as you can. So, yeah, it was definitely the scariest part.
The dog ever fall overboard?
No, our dog did so well. Even on those rough days, she's like, this is awesome. She's actually laying here next to us.
She was a great boat dog.
Yeah.
Loves to swim. She found out what dolphins were probably later than she should have. But once she did figure out what a dolphin was, she knew to go up to the bow and watch them kind of play in the splash and the wake. So that was special.
It's an epic story, guys. Thanks so much for sharing it with us. We appreciate your time, and we will look forward to seeing you guys out on the water, right, David?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just following your adventures is great. Reading the article is fantastic. Carly, thanks for providing it to us. We will definitely reach out to Josh and Haley and try to get them on a call and see if their story corroborates yours. But we really, I mean, look, my biggest takeaway from this interview we've done with you, this podcast, is, I mean, the Great Loop offers everything that you can possibly, if you're looking to get in the cruising lifestyle, it will learn you real fast, right? You will go ahead and experience all different things and you'll test your knowledge. You'll like you said, you'll find out what you didn't already know. It'll test your skills. It'll make you a better boater, better sailor, better cruiser. So if you're thinking about exploring a Great Loop, give it a shot. Give it a shot. You can check it out with the American Great Loop Cruises Association, which we're big supporters of, right? So do it. Get on board, right?
That's right. The hardest thing's to untie the cleats and just go.
Yep.
Amen, brother. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time, and we'll look forward to seeing you out on the water.
Thanks for having us.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.